Welcome to our viewers. Thank you for joining us for our webinar today, Optimize File Transfers for Large-Scale Media Archives with FileCatalyst and Cloudian. Joining us today are Elton Canero, Director at FileCatalyst, and Rich Wilson, Media and Entertainment Solutions Architect at Cloudian. And with that, I will hand it over to Rich.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, everyone attending. So my name is Rich Wilson. I work for Cloudian, and we're going to talk through how HyperStore and FileCatalyst Direct can be integrated together to accelerate data distribution. So data really is coming from everywhere. There's many different types of sources of data, from backup and archive, storage as a service, media and entertainment environments, security and surveillance is growing. And the growing bio and research data content is really coming from everywhere. And Cloudian can be an aggregated central repository for all of these different disparate data sources. The storage challenges are really the exponential data growth. It is accelerating from all of the sources previously mentioned. And the growth is really going to go into hundreds of exabytes over the next few years. The need for cloud integration is also growing. The many marketplace services available in the public cloud is accelerating, and the need for integrating on-premise private cloud solutions into the public cloud is necessary. IDC reports 50% of the public cloud workloads will move to the private cloud over the next 2 years. Why Cloudian? Cloudian is a native S3 object storage solution that is cost-effective, resilient, and scalable. It is a software-defined solution that runs on commodity x86 Linux appliances. It is full-featured at no additional cost. We add replication support, multi-site, data center aware. We also add a HyperFile NAS data caching controller appliance that is software included for NFS or CIFS access from Windows and Linux file services. The system can start small and grow from a few hundred terabytes to hundreds of petabytes with exabyte scale in the future. Cloudian is also multi-cloud support with hybrid cloud enabler, allowing us to tier and replicate content into the public cloud, such as AWS S3 or Glacier, the Google, Azure, and other S3 compatible clouds. There are many thousands of applications that are capable of integrating with the internal S3 application stack. So from a backup environment, there are applications such as Rubrik, Commvault, Veritas that all support the S3 API and communicate to Cloudian HyperStore. Many development environments are also using software development kit. Instead of developing in the public cloud, they can develop locally and have no additional costs. File sync and share can be provided from solutions like Storage Made Easy to provide Dropbox-like functionality. Accelerating media workflows, specifically FileCatalyst Direct, we'll be discussing today. So also integrating with S3. File access for NFS and SMB is provided by HyperFile. Many data sources are also big data warehouse environments for analytics and ETL processing, Hadoop, Elastic, Spark environments. And in addition, we are cloud ready for replication into the public cloud through secure protocols, and it's policy-based migration. We can predict the cloud costs based on the on-premise consumption. It is a multi-tenant platform. There's quality of services to prevent noisy neighbor from additional tenants in the platform. Auto tiering is available at the bucket level. And there are hundreds of thousands of S3 compatible applications. Cloudian also supports a replica and erasure coding storage protection policy underneath. Securing the data in our platform is paramount. Because of our being a multi-tenant platform, we support role-based access control for user security. There are admins of the platform, there are group admins or group tenants, and then users provides an outlet to users. There is network security for S3 supporting TLS and SSL support for both the S3 access as well as our admin API. Cloudian has S3 ACL support for user and group access control mechanisms. Audit logging can be enabled to log all transactions accessing an S3 bucket. Cloudian also has encryption, supporting AES 128-bit as well as 256-bit encryption. Server-side encryption is supported, as well as all other AWS S3 encryption protocols, from client-side encryption to customer-side encryption, and integration into AWS key management systems. Advanced features such as versioning is also supported. There are built-in data protection mechanisms for scanning and scrubbing the data that is stored to compare checksums against the other contents across the cluster and repairing data as necessary. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Rich. So hi, my name is Elton and I work for FileCatalyst. Today we'll be talking about how FileCatalyst works with Cloudian's HyperStore and how we can accelerate the ingest and distribution of large media files from within HyperStore. So back in the early 2000s, there was a move from SD to 4K, and as this file size has increased, you need a reliable way to store them as well as transfer them. Traditional tools like FTP that are susceptible to packet loss and latency just don't work. So if you look at an example here, a 2-hour movie that was 4 gigs in SD format can be up to over 400 gigs in 8K. And as we move to HDR, these sizes get even larger and larger. So as time goes on, the problem of gets larger, and moving files from A to B gets more complicated. In this case, Cloudian has you covered for looking at how to store these large files, and FileCatalyst has you covered in terms of how to transfer these large files. So what does FileCatalyst do? FileCatalyst provides a software solution built upon a patented UDP algorithm that can enable you to transfer files up to 10 gigabits per second and beyond. The solution is easy to deploy and manage, and it has all the tools you need to integrate into existing workflows. FileCatalyst has support for all the major cloud storage providers, as well as works with major private storage providers like Cloudian HyperStore. So why don't traditional tools work? So traditional file transfer methods like FTP are built upon the TCP protocol. TCP is a very chatty protocol and is susceptible to packet loss and latency. The way TCP works is that it sends a little bit of data and waits for the acknowledgement. The further away you are, the longer you wait for that acknowledgement, and hence the whole process slows down. With FileCatalyst, we built our own patented protocol built on UDP, and we'll basically transfer as much data as we can over the pipe and only acknowledge what's missing. That is what makes our technology a very unique technology and allows us to maximize and accelerate file transfers over any global network. So a bit about the FileCatalyst platform. FileCatalyst can send files up to 10 gigabits per second. We'll ensure the file is intact after the transfer using MD5 checksums, so the file will be guaranteed to be the same on both sides. We can encrypt the transfer using AES to make sure that no one in the middle can see what the content you're transferring across. We have tools to automate transfers as well. So the idea is that you can define folders on your desktop, or on your machine, or on your SAN NAS, or on Cloudian HyperStore that you can monitor. As soon as content gets dropped in, we can transfer it. We also support the ability to enable web-based transfers using our transfer agent tool. And we can integrate into many, other solutions, in the different, industries that we support. So, FileCatalyst Direct is one of our applications that we offer. This is the product that we'll be focusing on today's webinar as it integrates within Cloudian. The way it's architected, it's a server-client application. The server sits in a central location. The server can talk to either local storage or cloud storage. In this case, we can connect into Cloudian's HyperStore using the S3 protocol. In terms of client applications, we have a number of different client applications for different use cases and workflows. Our hot folder application is meant for automating file transfers. We have our transfer agent application, which serves the purpose of doing desktop-based transfers as well as web-based transfers. We also have mobile apps that's available on Android and iOS that can allow you to upload files straight from your mobile device. And then we have a very powerful SDK that's available in a number of different languages that can allow you to integrate within your own product or own application. So let's take a look and see how FileCatalyst compares to FTP. In this speed chart, we have a number of different scenarios here. The first line shows us a transfer from Amsterdam to London. The latency here is also known as the RTT, that's the round trip time, is about 50 milliseconds. So to transfer a 10 gig file with FTP takes about an hour and 28 minutes, whereas with FileCatalyst, it's a minute and 23 seconds. The same 10 gig file going from New York to Buenos Aires, where the latency is increased now to 150 milliseconds, the transfer with FTP will take about 3 hours and 6 minutes, whereas with FileCatalyst, it's still a minute and 23 seconds. The same 10 gig file from LA to Mumbai, where the round trip time is 220 milliseconds, FTP takes about 3 hours and 22 minutes, whereas FileCatalyst, we're still transferring the same file in a minute and 23 seconds. This slide goes to show you that we're immune to the latency on the network. We can transfer the file as fast as possible across any distance. So a couple of deployment scenarios. So FileCatalyst can be used in a number of different scenarios, and we'll cover a few of them, in the next coming slides. But one of them that we focus on a lot is the data mirroring and data distribution. If you're looking to mirror data between two locations, FileCatalyst can help you with this. Also, if you're looking to distribute files to a number of different locations, FileCatalyst can be used for this as well. So the question that we get asked the most when we talk about our product is licensing. How do we license our technology? We have a number of different ways in which we can license it. We have a new monthly-based pricing, which is unmetered. You basically you can use it to transfer as much data as you want. There's no cap on it. The license comes with a bandwidth cap of 10 gigabits per second. The software suite is licensed a la carte, so based on which client applications you need, you can add them on. And you can either pay monthly or prepay for a term. And when you do prepay for a term, you get discounts. With the other license option that we offer is our consumption, which is a pay per gig license. So you only pay for the amount of data you transfer, and you're billed monthly. So if you don't transfer any data in a month, you're not getting billed anything. The pricing starts at about 35 cents per gig, and it scales down it goes down based on how much data you transfer. So if the more you transfer, the cheaper the per gig price gets. The other licensing option that we have is available on various different cloud marketplaces where you can pay by the hour of compute time. And this is supported currently on AWS and Azure. The power options start at about $1.50 an hour. And based on the instance size, that's what determines the speed that you'll be capped at. So let's take a look at how you can actually enable the Cloudian HyperStore within FileCatalyst. On the FileCatalyst server administration, you have the File Systems tab, which if it's not visible on your FileCatalyst server admin, you can enable it by enabling the advanced view, and this will show the File Systems tab. When you click on Add a New File System, you'll be prompted with a screen that looks the same as what you see right now on the slide. You can choose Cloudian from the drop-down. You can enter your access key and secret key, enter your endpoint, and then hit Test. When you hit Test, if all returns well, you'll be prompted with a message saying the file system is configured correctly, and you can go ahead and save it. Once you save it, it will appear in your list of file systems, And at this point, you can actually browse and see what buckets are available under the account you just configured. So this shows you that the different buckets that you have, which can then be used when creating a user account. So once you add the Cloudian file system to the FileCatalyst server, you can create a user account and have it point to that specific bucket. You can also point to a folder within a bucket. You don't necessarily have to point to the root bucket. You can also add a virtual file and folder that points to different locations within, within that bucket or within that account. If you wish to support multiple different accounts, you can use our dynamic file system feature, which allows you to populate, the access key and secret key right within the user's home directory, and you can mount as many file systems as you wish. So once that's done, you can perform an upload. You can either use the connect link that's available under the user account, or you can use any of our client applications to connect and transfer a file. So when in this screen over here, we're showing the connect features, which is also known as FileCatalyst Express, and we're showing a transfer of the file to the bucket. And once the transfer completes, you'll see the file lands in the bucket and it's visible to you. So one of the use cases that was discussed earlier is being able to mirror data or transfer data. FileCatalyst can be used in any workflow that involves archiving, backup, or remote replication. FileCatalyst can be used to move files in such a use case. FileCatalyst can either target another Cloudian HyperStore in terms of replication, or you can move data to any public cloud. At this point, I'll pass it back to you, Rich, so you can talk about storage as a service.
Great, thank you, Elton. I'd just like to add that in addition to this, as Elton mentioned, the content could be any source content, files, documents, any kind of backup source, and the target can be, another Cloudian S3 environment or the public cloud, or, traditional NAS or SAN type access. So with the storage as a service or content distributed network, FileCatalyst can be combined with Cloudian to accelerate a global content distribution system, transferring hundreds of times faster than FTP. The FileCatalyst platform is, policy driven. It will automate the storage replication into Cloudian. The policies have full bandwidth control to prioritize the delivery of the importance. This is very important to service providers for building out a content network. Files can also be transferred as they are being written. So if a large file is being consumed, FileCatalyst can monitor the watch folder, detect that the file has started to write, and once it has reached an appropriate size, it will begin transferring that to the target, even before it has completed its task. A great example of this is a video file that is being encoded. While it is being encoded, the output file can be read and then replicated to, say, upload into the cloud for streaming on social networking. That could be, into multiple clouds as well. Elton, do you have anything that you would like to add in terms of the growing files feature?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Rich, we've been known to be the leader in being able to support growing file transfer workflows, especially in the media and broadcast industry. We can chase the tail. We can cover a number of different use cases when you talk about growing files. Chasing the tail, if you need to wait for the entire file to be written in terms of files that are MOV format, we support that as well. We have the ability to retransfer headers and footers of the file. So if you have certain media formats that the header gets updated as the file's been written out, FileCatalyst can support that as well.
Perfect. Excellent. I'd like to thank Elton and John for their time today, and to our audience for joining us as well. And you can also find more information on our websites, Cloudian.com and FileCatalyst.com.